everybody. How are we doing today? It's a gray, overcast, jeepers creepers, overcast kind of a Tuesday. We're going to be pretty busy at the office today. But I was thinking about something that I noticed a long time ago, well before college, but somebody finally defined in college. And then I have seen multiple different ways of explaining it. And I know you've experienced this also. And I imagine that if you think you've never experienced it before, that you're going to start experiencing it as soon as I mention it to you. And that is called the frequency illusion. Now, I learned of it as the Joshua Tree effect. We learned about it in one of my very first design classes in college. The idea was somebody was living in this house. They'd lived there for a very long time. They go to take some kind of a herbology class or something along those lines. And they learn about the Joshua tree. And they say, wow, that's a very interesting tree. They saw photographs of it. They studied the tree. This is fantastic. That's a crazy tree. I don't think I've ever seen that before. It's absolutely wonderful. I love it. It's beautiful. And then they go home and they've got one right there in their front yard. So you can identify things in that regard. As soon as you learn about them, you're going to start picking up on them a little bit more. Now, of course, in addition to the frequency illusion and the Joshua Tree effect, you may have heard of the Baader Meinhof phenomenon. Exact same thing. Somebody is studying, you could study whatever, and somebody cites an example of something as the Baader Meinhof group. And then this guy, he's studying it, and he starts seeing it over and over again. So he writes a paper or something about it, and that's how it got the name there. Similar to the Mandela effect, which is a topic for another episode. Now, I learned of it as the Joshua Tree effect, and then studied about it later and found the Baader Meinhof phenomenon and the frequency illusion. They're all terms slightly different, but they focus on one thing. Well, I'll mention two things. The first is, it happened to me just the other day. Somebody had just mentioned to me Umberto Eco, and I'd never heard Umberto Eco before. And then I'm listening to a podcast, and boom, and this is within a matter of 24 hours, Umberto Eco once again. And I'm wondering how many times, so the first thing is, how many times have you heard? Is there a logical explanation for this? How many times have you heard the name Umberto Eco before? And just never noticed it until somebody comes up to you and says to your face, you should read Umberto Eco. And then it starts to appear. Then it sinks. Then it hits you. But the other thing is the Joshua Tree effect. They put that out there. You know, now what it is now you understand. Now you can define it. You have given them the name, Rumpelstiltskin. Now you know the name. Now you can control it. So that's why we give names to certain things, like parts of speech. That's why we name verbs and adverbs. And that's why we name design elements, right? So that we can control them and be able to speak to them effectively. And it's for that reason that we develop names for things that have very, very simple explanations. But we give them names so that you can very easily define where they are and what they go. So have you ever experienced Baader Meinhof or Joshua Tree or frequency illusion? Frequency illusion, of course, referring to something happens frequently, but you don't notice it until you notice it. And when you notice it, it's a stark contrast. And then, do you use that to your advantage? Has it ever occurred to you in a kind of a strange way or anything along those lines? And then, we'll bring it up now. Do you have any experience with the Mandela effect? Because we're going to talk about that soon enough. All right. So hopefully you guys will go out and you'll experience lots of frequency illusions and Baader Meinhof phenomenons in the near future. And I really hope that you have